Okay, so you tap on the app and then you just scroll down. Here you have like all sorts of different things. We're just going to be exploring a couple of them. So if you scroll down to the bottom, you see the inclination, and you're just going to go ahead and tap that. And from there, you can press the play button, and now it's going to start reading the inclination of your phone with respect to it being flat. That's like the camera down and the back-facing camera face up, so like flat on the ground. And as you can see, as we're moving the phone around, the angle is changing. And if you tap on the other headers at the top where it says flat upright side plane, it's going to give you the inclination with respect to 0 being a different angle, a different orientation of the phone. So, yeah. You can also tap on the graphs to make them bigger. And from there, you can pinch around and move the graph around. And you can also, if you press the pick data button at the bottom, you can tap on points to get the exact value at that point. And you can go back to pan and zoom to move around, pick data, and pick another point.
All right, so another option on this app is a depth sensor. So we're going to look at that one as well. And the depth sensor uses your front camera to basically, we'll tap on the play button here. Basically, it shows you like the distance of the object in front of the front camera of your phone. So if I put my hand on the front camera, you'd see it like glitches and like freezes because there's nothing there. And then when I remove it, it goes back to normal. So right now it's looking at the ceiling. And it's saying that's about 1.5, and then I'll move it so it's looking at a wall a little bit closer, and you see that's at 0.5. And you can tap on the simple just to get the distance. It's about 0.5 meter at the wall, and about 2-ish meters at the ceiling now.
And if we go over to the kinematics tab, we can see that it gives us a depth as well as a velocity and an acceleration. And we can see how these are, it's getting the distance and depth with these velocity and acceleration. And in the settings, if I go over here, it's going to show you the actual image it's looking at, and what area of the camera it's using. So if I tap on the enlarge symbol right here, now I can select which area of the screen it's looking at. So now it should be looking at here. Now it's saying a depth of 1 meter, or 0.9, almost 1. And if I bring it back to my face, it's saying 0.3 meters. So you can see that does change it. One thing about this though is you can lose if I drag it below the image, it's now stuck down there. And I can move these top ones, but if I move these out of it, now there's no like buttons to press, and now it's just stuck like this until I exit out of the app and restart it. And now you can see it's saying 0.8 meters, even though we saw earlier my face is about 0.3 away. And that's because it's on the average mode. But if I change it to the closest, now it's going back to the reading earlier of what my face was. So this changes average of all the points. Closest is just the closest point. And then weighted takes into account all the points and weights them based on how many like points at how far away, and it makes a total from that.
All right, so another section within this app is acceleration. So we're going to go on the acceleration without G. And this one makes it so that, we'll go on absolute here, that if I hold the phone still, it should be reading about 0. We can also go on graph, and we can see the x acceleration, the y acceleration, and the z acceleration. So I move it in just one direction. One of them should be moving a little bit more. If I move it in this direction, one of them should be moving a little bit more, sort of thing. And you can tap on these graphs. You can pick data, just like with all the other ones, where you find points giving you the exact acceleration at which time. We can get absolute, and it's just the overall acceleration on the phone. And you can tap this, pick data for this one as well. And this one just shows the numbers for all of them. And this one, same sort of thing.
I've started the acceleration recording, and I'm going to lift it up and just let it fall. And now, if we expand the graph and take a look here, you can see that the acceleration peaks. I'm going to pause the recording. You see the acceleration peaks at 105, almost 105 meters per second squared, and that's kind of deceiving because, I mean, it looks like on a first glance you might think that it started falling that fast, but that's not what happens. That's just when the phone hits the bed. It very quickly goes from moving pretty fast to not moving at all, and so that's where you see that big spike in acceleration. But before that, if you zoom in, you can see this straight line here, and this is the time that the phone was falling. And you can see that while they're not exactly 9.81, they're in the range of 9.81, and they stay pretty close together, more so than any other points on the graph. And so this is the time from here to here that the phone is in free fall.
Now we're going to be testing the depth sensor. And so we have a ruler, and this ruler is exactly 31 centimeters. So if we put the phone right at the edge of the ruler, it's getting an exactly accurate reading. So this, so this depth is pretty accurate. At close range, it seems like the depth sensor works. If we put it at 15, we're seeing, a reading of 16, so still pretty accurate. So the depth sensor is pretty accurate at these close ranges, but as we start walking backwards, you'll see at about 1.5 meters, it becomes pretty inaccurate, and it's no longer reading accurate depth really at all.
Okay, so I just started. I hit the play button and I started the experiment. And so now, as you can see, it's reading the inclinations, and I'm going to change it to upright, and I'm going to place the phone against the wall. And as we can see here, the angle is not quite 0, 0. That could be because the wall isn't perfectly straight up. It's also because the camera is making me not be able to press the phone perfectly flat against the wall. But regardless, we can see that it is pretty close to 0 because, as you can see, it is almost perfectly flush with this wall. If we change it to the flat setting, when we place it on, if I place it on this, you can see it's sort of close, but not really to 0. And if I press it a little bit here, try and make it a little bit flatter, now it's getting pretty close to perfectly flat. Some of the pros of this app is its easy to use interface. It's pretty intuitive. It's relatively accurate in its measurements. It has a lot of features like being able to change graph size, being able to select individual data points, and being able to change some of the settings and algorithms of the features. like with LiDAR where you could change the area that it looked at. Some of the cons are that there are some glitches with the app, like when selecting the area that the LiDAR should look at. Sometimes you can drag the box so you can't edit it anymore, and the LiDAR not being accurate at far distances. Overall, we rate the phyphox app 4.5 out of 5 stars.